There is sound inside you wherever you go by Krishnamurti. Hello everyone, this is author PB Flower. My published series All Call None is available on Amazon as ebook and paperback. Check it out and then return the ebook when done, or you can buy a paperback copy for your reading and collection. The choice is yours. Today I want to bring forward a different take on sound, waves, frequency. Krishnamurti had said that there is sound inside you wherever you go. What does that mean? What is sound? Why is it a part of us, like said, no matter where we go? In terms of plain English, sound is the audible frequency produced whenever there are certain kind of vibrations in specific mediums like air, water, solid, etc. In physics, sound is vibration that propagates as an acoustic wave through a transmission medium such as a gas, liquid, or solid. In human consciousness, sound is the reception of such waves and their perception by the brain. Of course, there is a range of this audio frequency that can be perceived by humans. Ultra and infrasound waves exist outside of human range. Some animals can perceive those range. I believe trees and plants can also perceive sound waves that are outside of human range. That is why they know when to prepare for a given season. And I have conceptualized the form of communication known as waving, and my communication podcast has that in detail. For sound is wave or frequency. Now, types of waves in physics are mechanical, electromagnetic, or matter waves. Mechanical waves is transfer of energy through a medium. Example, sound. Pressure can be only felt with a displacement of mediums like, water, air, gas, or solid. There is also simply water waves in the water bodies. Now there is electromagnetic waves, which is also energy from the fusion of electrical and magnetic fields like microwave, which we are very familiar with, X-ray, radio waves, ultraviolet rays. It does not need a medium to travel. Please note that. So they do exist in space. And then there is matter waves, which actually falls under the quantum physics. It is based on theory that matter exists both as particle and wave. And matter exists as waves at its elementary level. And so a good example is photoelectrons or atoms. So at this fundamental level, that makes matter exist as waves also. And so it seems like waves are also a form of energy again. Let's shift to Indic theology to see how scientific our Vedas are. Veda literally means to know or knowledge. Quite practically, realization of sound perhaps came about with our sense of hearing. Of course, the touch perception or our skin can also feel vibrations of sound. And we will get to how sound came about the first time, but wherever that first sound came from, Indic theology suggests that its vibrations were capable of manifesting images. That is what I had said in my podcast, What is Shiva?, where Yuji saw Lord Ganesha manifesting when he was listening to a mantra chanting. There is more to that story. So what happened was the person chanting made a mistake, and the image that manifested for Yuji went away. So he asked this guy who was chanting the mantra if he made any mistake, and he admitted that he indeed had. Now back to Vedas, suggesting vibration manifests images. Where it went sideways for me was when it had to be documented. I have mentioned the problem with documentation in many of my previous podcasts. To me, this is how it all got lost in translation. Earlier, before written Veda came into picture, it was passed on from guru to disciples, and its origin has been calculated to 1.9 billion years old, which is the beginning of creation. So time in Veda is divided in 4 yuga, and I called it quaternion cycle in my series, Alkalnan, and each yuga within it spans differently, because there are 4 yuga in one quaternion cycle. But the sum total of all 4 or one quaternion cycle is 4,320,000,000 years old. And now there is something called Creation's Day, or God's Day. If you believe in God, you can call it God's Day. And that is not lunar or solar in nature like us, because creation does not have a solar system. We do. And so that's why our time calculation is dependent on the rotation of Earth around the sun. And Veda accounts for God's Day, or the Creation's Day. As per that, 14 Manvantaras is the total life of God's one day. And in my series, God's one day is Celestial Day. By the way, I have gone through painful calculations in my series. Anyway, I will leave a link below for how the calculations in Vedas are, and how they came up that creation is 1.9 billion years old. Now, before we got caught in the calculations, I had mentioned sound of the creation were handed down from one to another with the passing of time, from guru to disciple. So it was memorization. But then we came up with symbols to represent sound, alphabets, which is written Vedas. And the written Vedas are 1200 to 1500 BC old. And at that point, it turned from transferred memory or memorization to second-hand written knowledge, which made it vulnerable to individual interpretations. We all know that there is something called an accent or pronunciation, and if these sounds are now not ringing the same as the root sound, do you suppose it would give the same effect? I don't think so. And that is the problem. You can't just hire someone to chant mantras for you, or to invoke good thoughts by chanting them yourself, because the manifestation from these sounds is very dependent on the exactness of vibrations from a particular frequency. Let us understand how with an example. So the very first sound that came to exist according to Vedas in this creation was Om. O-M, or Aum, which is A-U-M. So it has already delineated from original, because I don't know which one is the original, and I don't know how to sound it to exploit its use to the fullest. Forget about that for now, and let's see what science says the first sound was. In science community, it was the sound of the Big Bang, that explosion which created our universe. Now let's scrutinize waves with respect to Indic theology. It says that there are 4 types of waves: sound, echo, oscillating, and transcendental waves. And Aum, or Om, brings about all 4 when chanted. Now the first 3 waves, which is sound, echo, oscillating, are within our range, within the human range. And transcendental is a higher frequency that we get connected to when chanting Om, which is said to bring the unmanifested, or nothing. Now, interesting thing about echo wave is that it is used in science to come up with images. I mean, the echo of sound is used to image things we can't see. It is called echocardiogram or ultrasound imaging, etc. in science. Now, question is, how is that done? Well, mostly it is by acoustic impedance. The sound waves comes across when penetrating the body. You are free to learn more about this technology at your end. So What if I say that we have that ability without the use of technology? Would you believe it? A believer in science would not. But that is what was happening to Yuji. However, it can't be done with the interference of memory and knowledge, since Yuji was free of that. It was manifesting for him when the mantra chanting was going on. Now, Om or Aum, the first sound, is the symbol of essence of Indic theology. It means oneness with the Supreme or the Absolute. In the Upanishads, this syllable emerges as a mystic sound, and it is regarded by the scriptures as the very basis of every other sacred mantra or hymn sounds in Hindu mythology are mantra or chants. Now, it is also said that source of creation has three parts: Nada, Bija, and Bindu. Nada is the smooth sound. That is the sound that is arising from the unmanifested into the manifested. Essentially, Shiva appearing from the null. And Bindu, or the energy or Shakti, what we call desire, is that. And Bija is seed, which has equal parts of Nada and Bindu in it. And a combination of these is Prakriti, or nature, or our creation, or the seed of life. And in my series All Kalnan, I have theorized that once in the realm of matter and energy, the dot is the creator, or the Bindu. And so it is the sound that imaged itself into creation. Therefore, it is sound that is manifestation, a measure of these vibrations, Maya or illusion. And if we become perceptive to these vibrations, we will be conscious of everything, good or bad, sacred or evil, right or wrong, a god or devil. There cannot be a way to stop these vibrations from coming to us. Due to the concept of society, we have conditioned ourselves to suppress and invoke certain vibrations only. We filter things so that we can fit into a mold, and then we turn around and want to understand the creation in its fullness. How would we do that? Either we can leave this constraining world and live as yogi on the mountains without boundaries, physical or spiritual. Or we can fully submerge into this world. Choose your battle. As I said in my What is Shiva podcast, there are 4 techniques to fit into this world. Go for the one that makes the most sense to you. Because in the end, it is personal battle, and it has to be realized at an individual level. No matter which path you choose, do understand that this world that we live in is all but waves, a vibration, an image, or sound of varying frequencies. Thank you for tuning in. This is Author BB Flower. Until next time, bye-bye.